On today's video, we have an interview with Brian Volk-Weiss from the Nacelle company.
It's morphin' time!
Hello, this is Soundout here, and today's video is an interview segment. I got to interview Brian Volk-Weiss, who is the head of Nacelle, who is producing not only several TV shows and movie productions, but also producing several toy lines, including the upcoming Star Trek line that we've talked about on the channel before. If you haven't seen my video talking about Nacelle's Star Trek line reveals, it's a good context piece because Brian had watched that video, and that's what led to doing this interview. So we're going to go over a lot of things in this. I hope you're going to enjoy it. There's some details, not just for Star Trek, but for some of the other Nacelle lines like Robo and Sectars and all that. So I hope you enjoy, and if you do, let us know in the comments that you did enjoy this type of video. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe, and the notification bell while you're down there if you haven't already. And so on that, we're going to play the interview between me and Brian Volk-Weiss. All right, hello everyone out there on YouTube. We're going to be doing an interview with Brian Volk-Weiss of the Nacelle company, and I hope you enjoy what we have to talk about. So first things first, I wanted to ask, how did you get into the business of making toys after the many years you've spent in the film industry?
It's a pretty wild, random story, and I believe definitely falls into the only in America category. I was making, as you said, I was making TV shows. All of it was comedy. 100% was comedy. Literally, about 2/3 of any given year was stand-up comedy. And then every now and then we do, a sketch show or something else comedy based. And then for 7 years, because I'm a toy collector since I was, 10, I was trying to sell a show about toys. I finally sold it to this lovely company called Netflix. And what a lot of people don't know about the toys that made us, it is either the first or the second greenlit unscripted Netflix show ever. So the show came out. It seemed to do very well. It was very popular. We're still making it 8 years later. We're doing seasons 4 and 5 right now. And not to mention the spin-off movies that made us. And then one day I got a call from this guy who was all over me, emails, LinkedIn, DMs, whatever, wanting to meet. We finally met. His name was Michael. And he said, he's like, listen, Toys That Made Us is a great brand. I bet if we work together, we could do some cool stuff. So we started working together. He was a consultant. And about a month into his consulting, I called him up and I'm like, hey, man, this isn't working for me. And he was like, really? I thought it's going great. What do you mean? And I'm like, it's not working for me because you're just a consultant. I need you at staff meetings. You need to be a full-time employee if this is going to work. And he agreed to that, luckily for us. And pretty soon after that, he got Power Lords, then he got Robo, then he got Biker Mice from Mars, and the rest is history.
Awesome. And now the next big thing is going to be the Star Trek line that a lot of us are really looking forward to.
That's right.
And I want to ask, if you had to choose one, which is your favorite Star Trek series?
Oh, I mean, Next Generation. Well, you said series. So if we're talking series, yes, Next Generation. If you're asking me what's my favorite genre of Star Trek, it's the Captain Kirk films. So it's Star Trek 1 through 6. That's really my Star Trek. And then close second place is Next Gen.
Awesome. And I noticed that there's a little bit of influence in that in some of the character choices we've been already seeing, like Captain Sulu, for instance, which
yes.
It's been an exciting one because we don't usually get figures of Sulu when he's captain.
Exactly. And again, as a huge Trekkie myself, Nacelle is basically a Star Trek term, and also as someone with probably over 1,000 Star Trek toys in my collection, many of which are obviously figures, I know what's been made. I know what hasn't been made. And, and I know about what I consider to be what I call Goldilocks zones. Everybody loves Sulu. Everybody loves the maroon uniforms. And there's been a Sulu, Diamond did a great Sulu, but it was 20 years ago. So technology's gotten better, first of all. Second of all, Sulu was not a captain. He was basically in the Star Trek II uniform. So just because I'm such a Trekkie, I know stuff like this off the top of my head. And for better or worse, and we'll know real soon, for better or worse, that's how we're choosing the characters we make.
Wonderful. So is it the current production timeline that we heard from the reveal was that the figures would go up for pre-order in early 2025 for a end of 2025 delivery? Is that still
Correct.
like the current
Yes,
schedule?
absolutely 100%. And as of this second, we are absolutely on schedule to make that.
In terms of availability, is there going to be brick and mortar retail availability for the figures, or should fans look at buying them online?
Both. It's going to start with a pre-order, but they will be in brick and mortar. Everything we do is in brick and mortar, from mom and pop to Walmart. And this will be no different. And it'll be on our DTC.
So, in terms of the figure's face paints and details, will it be a more traditional painting style or a type of inkjet digital printing?
That I am not going to answer because we are still working on figuring that out. You got to play around a lot with the technology to make sure that it works. So, like for the Expanse, we started with one thing that we thought we were doing, and then we very quickly evolved to a different one. So that one, that's a really, really, really good question. Not that you need me to tell you that. But we're still working on figuring out a bunch of things of the technological nature.
One of the things that it's a personal pet peeve of mine with action figures is when you have accessories in the hands of characters and then the accessory paint rubs off onto the hand. And I know that's always kind of a tricky thing to deal with on the production side. But has there been consideration talked about the worry of paint rub on the figures?
Yeah, I loathe that as well as a collector, and I can assure you that we are working hard to make sure that doesn't happen. And to the best of my knowledge, so far, all the toy lines we've put out, that doesn't happen. So listen, I can't guarantee how great these are going to be in 25 years, but I feel pretty good we can guarantee minimal to no paint rub for at least the first 10 years these things exist.
I'm very glad to hear that because that's one of my it's one of my
It
biggest
drives
pet
me
peeves with
crazy.
figures.
No, it
Mhm.
gives away the illusion.
Yeah, definitely, and it kind of prevents you from being able to pose it in a different way later
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, exactly.
So, in terms of this may be too much of a customer service side thing, but in terms of production flaws, which always happen with figures, is there going to be customer service for replacement pieces, or will it just kind of be handled through retailer sides?
I mean, we have, I believe, a very robust and generous consumer consumer. People tell us, we'll get a on Instagram, you know, someone will DM me that their throttle from Biker Mice came with two left legs. I hate that. I don't know how that happened. We have our own QC. The factory has its QC. Stuff happens. So we send them a new one. We don't ask for the other one to be sent back. And we usually, put a couple extra things in there as well for the hassle. So we'll be doing that for everything that we ever do. It's funny, I didn't go to business school, but I have lived life, and there are these two examples from my own life. One is, I bought like 20 years ago, I bought this like kind of bar setup from Crate and Barrel.
Hmm.
Like I said, this is about 20 years ago. And a week after I bought it, they called me and said, "Hey, the bar set that you bought, we have now discounted. And we have a policy here that if we ever do a big sale, anybody who bought the product within 2 weeks of that sale, we give them the same discount. So at a time where I had very little money in my life, I think if I remember the numbers, I paid $1,700 for the bar set, and it went on sale a week later for $1,400.
Oh, wow.
And they wired me $300. And here I am 20 years later talking about that. On the other side of the fence, my wife and I, our 10-year anniversary, we took a cruise on Viking Cruise Lines. Nothing worked. Like the toilet in our room didn't work. There was the hot tub in our section didn't work, like millions and millions of problems. And, they told me, they couldn't do anything till I got back to land. So after I got back to land, I called them and was like, hey, here's a list of everything that went wrong. I couldn't go to the bathroom in my own room, nor could my wife for 3 out of 5 days. And the only thing they would do is give us a 10% discount on our next cruise.
Oh,
And
jeez.
I'm like, if I'm ever in a position where I'm dealing with the public, I want to be like Crate and Barrel.
And I'm glad to hear that because customer service with companies is one of the things I cover on my channel to the good and the bad of it. And so it puts me at ease as a customer to know that you're committed to making sure everything can be done as best as possible with the toy lines.
Yeah. And like I said, stuff goes wrong. You do everything you can to avoid it. And if God forbid you miss something, I truly believe it's how a company handles a problem. It's as important, if not more important, than the problem itself.
So you've revealed figures so far. Are there any play sets, dioramas, ships, role play, any other type of product on the table, like a possibility in the future?
Listen, to quote Captain Kirk from Star Trek II, I'd like to believe that there always are possibilities. That said, we are talking to Paramount about many topics. It's funny when we do our own stuff with like Biker Mice or Robo Force. I can do and say whatever I want
Mm-hmm.
because we own them. Star Trek. Rumor has it, I don't own. Rumor has it they did just fine before we started making toys for them. So I have to be not just legally, but also morally very respectful of the relationship we have with Paramount. So as much as I would love to answer your question with a megaphone from a rooftop, all I can say is I'd like to believe that there always are possibilities.
So, in terms of characters that have skirts or the scant uniforms, will those materials be a little bit more flexible for posing? Like, for example, would Captain Garrett be able to sit in a chair?
So skirts and whatnot will be, flexible. We're not doing cloth. I
Mm-hmm.
really don't like cloth because no matter how, there's certain cloths that work. Like there's a great Black Series Snow Trooper that has this like kind of like polar bear fur on them, and that
Mm-hmm.
works. But normally, whenever you have to do sewing, I don't care how small the string is, I don't care how small the needles are, it's still string, it's still needles, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it just throws off the scale. So we're not going to be doing any cloth stuff. We're going to be doing, simulated, looking like cloth. As it relates to Rachel Garrett and, her kind of, you know, her Captain Kirk uniform minus the belt, which always cracks me up. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's very important to us that everybody be able to sit, because rumor has it, captain's chairs are a pretty big deal. But we are still working on how to do all that kind of stuff without breaking the lines. We did a poll if how people felt about ab crunch. And
Mm-hmm.
it was, I believe, 57% did not want ab crunch. That's still 43% that did.
Yeah.
So we have to work within technology to get the best of all worlds. And, hopefully we have a solution that works for everybody. But it's tricky. It's tricky. This making toys, it's a very, we've only been doing it for 3 years. It's a very interesting process.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting to see how it develops with each company and how each design group comes in to work with things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really wild. I've been reading about this and directing TV shows about this for a long time. It's very different making stuff versus reporting on it.
So in terms of the accessory loadouts, I know from you making statements before that accessories are a big important thing. Are alternate hands also part of those accessory loadouts?
Yes.
Wonderful. Because
But
I was
I
thinking
will
about
say,
some of the
oh, go
accessories
ahead.
need specific hands, like
Yes.
tricorders, right?
Yep. Yeah, yeah. No, we're definitely doing all that. But I mean, I will say, give you a little scoop. At least one and maybe two of the figures come with an accessory that is bigger than the figure.
Oh, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So this is the nerdiest question I have on the list here.
All right.
Uh, when I was doing a documentary series on the old Playmates toys Star Trek line, a lot of the there was a lot of color tone differences between the science uniforms for TNG TS9 and Voyager, where it there was like a color tone for the set footage, color tone versus like the SD version of the show, and then when they did the HD for TNG, it looks different there. Is there like have you had any thoughts of like which color tones would you try to match, like the set color versus like how it appears on screen?
So it's funny, in the toys that made a Star Trek episode, somebody commented that toys are like a totem. They represent a feeling and a belief in something, the same way a cross represents Christianity, a crescent represents Muslims, faith. So I am a big believer in all of our toys, the look we go for is somebody tore it out of the television and put it on their shelf. So with Captain Garrett, with Valkyris, like I really want it to be how we feel about these characters when we're sitting there as kids in our living room watching them. So, again, to answer your question, I don't, my goal isn't to make the most realistic figure possible based on matching color code fabrics from the Paramount warehouse of wardrobe. And, we're not going to sit there and do that.
Mhm.
What we're going to do is and we're doing this, is study the way they look, the way they felt. And it's not just on TV. We look at like old TV guides, we look at old star logs and stuff like that, old Cinefexes, and we really want to put something on people's shelves that feel like the right colors rather than sit there with like a graphic analyzer and scan fabrics.
That makes a lot of sense. It's definitely been a thing. I think uniform color has been a discussion, and it sounds like that's the right approach as to how it looks and feels from the show to the toy.
I think so, but again, I am not, I still don't consider myself a professional toy maker. I don't know if I ever will, which might be a weird thing for people to hear me say, but I'm just telling you how I feel. This is all very surreal, like I'm living in a dream, literally.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's what we're doing, and I hope it works. I think it will, because again, I am a Star Trek collector. I have hundreds of figures on my shelves right now. So I think I know what I'm talking about, but then again, it's always possible I don't.
Just as this is another nerdy question. I live in a family who loves Star Trek, so I'm gonna throw out some character requests. You don't have to respond to them. Just feel like if they're out there, they're floating in the ether. General Martok of the Klingon Empire.
Likely.
To Pring from
Possible.
TOS.
Possible.
Sarek in his TOS appearance.
Possible. Well, which one? You talking about Balance of Terror? Oh no, Sarek. Sorry.
Sarek,
I'm
yeah,
thinking Mark Leonard.
right.
Possible. Possible.
And a properly scaled Gorn from the TOS.
Between likely and highly likely.
So, in terms of other Nacelle toy lines that aren't Star Trek, you mentioned in your email that more sectors are coming this year. Is
Yes.
there any time frame of when those might be revealed?
Revealed mid this year, arrive in people's hands late this year, early 26.
For the Expanse, is there plans to do a second wave of the Expanse figures?
I very much would like to, and the toys did very well. So it is my true genuine hope that we're making more. But as I said with Star Trek, we have a partner. We have a great partner, Alcon TV, and I know they're happy. But the way it works in life and business, until I say to them, "Hey, can we make more?" and they say yes, it's all just theory, but I would very much like to make more. And the sales for Wave 1 have been great. So there really is no reason not to do Wave 2. But it has not been greenlit yet.
Biker Mice from Mars and Cowboys of Moo Mesa. I imagine more of those are on the way as well.
Yes, absolutely.
And Robo Force has a cartoon series coming up soon.
It does
It,
indeed, on Tubi.
yeah, did you want to speak about how that came to be? Because that's exciting.
So, we acquired the copyright to Robo Force. We hired some writers. They wrote some great scripts. We greenlit the show. We started producing the show. I know The Rock from another show that I do on Disney Plus. Luckily, one of his producing partners, Hiram Garcia, was a Robo Force fan as a kid.
Wow.
And we all started talking one day, all of us, and they came on board. We finished the cartoon, and then we took it to market. And the offer that made the most sense was Tubi. So we just announced on Tubi on Tuesday, Tubi Tuesday. We just announced on Tuesday. The Rock actually posted the video, did over 2 million views in the first 24 hours. That the show will be coming out on Tubi later this year, and probably sooner than people think.
Wow, that's awesome. It's really exciting because I that announcement kind of came up and I saw the trailer pop up and I was like, oh, perfect timing to ask about it today. I imagine there's more toys coming for RoboForce to go with that.
That is, if anything is guaranteed, that is it.
Is there anything that you would like to tell my audience about your Star Trek line or kind of how you wanted to approach that we didn't get to cover here?
Well, the main thing I just want to tell anyone who's a Trekkie that collects Star Trek toys is we are absolutely going to be doing Bridge Cruise. We came out of the gate talking about all the characters that had never been made as toys before. And I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud that we're doing Valkyris, who was on screen for, I believe, 87 seconds. So I'm very proud of that. And I'm very excited about that. The entire inspiration for doing what we're doing is Jellicoe and Garrett. I never understood why there was a salamander Tom Paris, but never Jellicoe or Garrett. That being said, a lot of fans, rightfully so, commented that they weren't too excited about only buying obscure characters. And we had always planned on doing main characters, as you can see from Sulu and Archer in Wave 1. But I'll be completely honest, I was, and I still am, extremely happy with the Diamond Star Trek toys. I think they are wonderful. But to be completely honest with you, until we started getting feedback from the fans saying, like, why are we going to buy your line if they don't sync up with the Bridge Cruise? My initial reaction was, well, Diamond already did the Bridge Cruise. But then, and we're scaling our stuff to work with those. But then I took a really good look at the Diamond figures in my collection, And I mean no disrespect to Diamond. I love Diamond. I love them. But the truth of the matter is the technology they used is 20 years old. And not because we're better than they are, we are not better than they are, but just because technology is better, we will be doing bridge crews with 2025, 2026 technology because the fans want it, I want it, and it'll just look great with everything else that we're doing, with Tuvix and Peter Preston and whatnot.
And I'm definitely excited for that. As someone that got, at the time Diamond was coming out, I wasn't collecting Star Trek figures as much, just due to age and not having been fully into it. So it's been a relief to hear you say that we're going to get bridge crews, because I would have liked to have had a lot of those old Diamond figures, but they're kind of hard to get on the aftermarket nowadays. And it'll be exciting to see them updated. I'm particularly looking forward to seeing Enterprise updated, because some of those original Enterprise figures from Diamond have those weird rubber crotches that definitely don't hold up to the test of time.
They took a big risk with those with that rubber.
Yeah.
And there's pros and cons to it, as I was saying before. Yeah, it was they took some risks. I'll leave it at that.
They figured out a way for them to sit and also look like a clean sculpt and standing, but over time it's been a little rough. But
Yeah, I've had to buy a couple of those more than once, due to fading and even cracking. But I give them credit. I mean, I give them credit. Like that was a really that could not have been cheap to design and do the R&D on that. And by the way, another company I'm not going to mention tried something similar with the J.J. Abrams 2009 Trek, and that did not work at all.
I think on that point, I did get to all of the questions within our half-hour window here. So is there any final things you want to say to the audience, promote, advertise?
I just want to say thank you to everybody who's had faith in us. When we put Robo Force up for sale 2.5 years ago, we had never made a toy. And let's be honest, I love Robo Force, but it's not Transformers. So the people that supported us at the beginning of this crazy road, I will never not be very, very grateful and appreciative. And I'm so grateful for all the love and support that we're getting. And please check out Robo Force when it comes out on Tubi. And everybody's in it. Biker Mice. One of the biggest comments we got about the trailer was people were like, "Oh my God, I saw Biker Mice. I saw Biker Mice. Biker Mice is in Robo Force." So all our brands are in Robo Force. So give it a try. We're trying to do something a little different here, and I hope people dig it.
All right, I'm definitely looking forward to what you have coming down the line, and hopefully we can do a follow-up interview and we have some more figures revealed or even in hand. Definitely enjoyed speaking with you today, and I appreciate your time talking about the world of Nacelle.
Okay, cool. Vice versa. Thank you.
So I hope you did enjoy that. There was a lot of cool things brought up in that interview that I didn't know about, and some extra details that I hadn't seen mentioned other places, which was really, really cool. Hopefully get to do an interview with him again in the future after maybe some of the figures have come out. And I look forward to covering more of the Nacelle Star Trek line on the channel, because I really did enjoy talking about it and learning some more about the company and also about what their future plans are. So if you did enjoy it and you haven't already, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe and notification bell. It helps the channel out immensely. Really do appreciate that. Also consider joining our Discord server if you want to discuss toy lines, Star Trek, and more. Also, of course, join as a channel member, support the channel. That helps us continue to do what we do here, and it does have some perks like early access to videos and member-exclusive live streams. Let's give some special shout-outs to our channel members now. Special shout-out to our channel members: Captain Tears, Spin-54, Toma K, MasterBen95, Jamie's World, Forever1000, Cameron Meter, Stephen Hino Josa, Maudofies Danielle, Josh Frisch, Gokai Gamer, Isabella Lawrence, John Troutman, Dr. Grid, Geek Rage 1337, Doge 9789, Super Shaddix Boom, Capybara Enjoyer, Kyle Birdwell, Crestfallen Thoughts at Midnight, Vangel Giorgio, Mr. Smelly Potato, Star Warrior Robbie, Oni Onichan, B-Tub, Gang One, and Starwho. Thank you all for your support of this channel. If you so wish, you can find me on social media on Blue Sky at Soundout12. You'll also find a wonderful graphic designer on social media and Discord at DarkClaw643. And you can check out Hero Club at heroesclub.com for toy news and more. And until next time, this is Soundout saying goodbye.